For the first time in, well, ever, the number of billionaires who inherited their fortune is about to overtake those who actually built it themselves. We are right in the middle of a massive, seismic shift. It's a story of incredible innovation clashing with an unprecedented wave of inheritance. And honestly, how this plays out is going to redefine what legacy even means for generations.
So let's start with this number, $15.8 trillion. Just to give you a sense of scale, that's more than the entire yearly economic output of China. It's a new world record for the total wealth held by billionaires, and it is growing at a frankly unbelievable rate. This isn't just a number, it's a sign of a huge power shift happening right now.
So, the big questions are, how did we even get here? Are we watching a new gilded age of self-made moguls? Or are we walking into an era of, I don't know, inherited dynasties? And maybe more importantly, as this new generation of the super rich takes control, what are they going to do with it?
Okay, so here's how we're going to break it all down in this explainer. First, we'll look at this record wave of wealth. Then, we'll dive into the creators versus the inheritors. We're going to get inside the billionaire mindset, look at the new global money map, and wrap it all up with the ultimate $6 trillion question. To really understand where all this is headed, you first have to appreciate the incredible scale of this new billionaire boom. So yeah, let's get into the numbers. Now, what's really wild here is just how fast this is all happening. In just one single year, the number of billionaires shot up by almost 9%. But their total wealth, that jumped by 13%. That's not just growth, that's a full-on wealth explosion. And this whole boom is being fueled by two very different groups of people. You've got the creators, who build their empires from the ground up, and then you have the inheritors, who are on the receiving end of what might be the largest wealth transfer in human history. It's really a tale of two billionaires, and their stories could not be more different.
So, in 2025, we saw 196 new self-made billionaires pop up, mostly coming from tech and consumer industries in the US and China. But at the exact same time, you had 91 heirs who inherited their fortunes, a lot of them from these long-established family dynasties over in Western Europe.
And this, right here, is the crucial point. Even though there are more self-made billionaires by number, the sheer amount of wealth being passed down is just staggering. In 2025, we saw the single largest transfer of inherited wealth ever recorded. This isn't a trend, it's a tidal wave of cash. This is what the experts are calling the Great Wealth Transfer. And believe me, we are only at the very beginning of this financial earthquake. Over the next 15 years, a jaw-dropping $5.9 trillion is set to be passed down. That's a river of gold that's going to completely reshape the global economy. But look, this isn't just a story about numbers on a spreadsheet. It's a story about people. And to really figure out the future of all this wealth, we've got to get inside the heads of these new billionaires. What do they value? What are their goals? And what on earth do they plan to do with all that money? This quote from a European billionaire just nails the new mindset perfectly. I mean, the old days of just handing over the keys to the family empire seem to be over. Today, it's all about making sure the next generation has the resilience and adaptability to make their own way. And the data totally backs this up. A huge 82% of billionaires want their kids to succeed on their own terms. That's way more than the number who just want them to take over the family business. It's a really clear shift away from just continuing a legacy and more towards personal fulfillment. But hey, just when you think you've got it all figured out, there's a fascinating twist. People are living longer. And that is throwing a real wrench into this whole great wealth transfer plan. The longer the current generation of billionaires lives, the more uncertain the future of their fortunes actually becomes. And all this uncertainty isn't just about generations, it's also about geography. This massive amount of wealth isn't just sitting in one place, it's constantly on the move. So let's take a look at the new global money map. As you can see, this great wealth transfer is going to have two main epicenters. North America, with a mind-blowing $2.8 trillion about to change hands, and Western Europe, with $1.3 trillion. These two places are basically ground zero for this generational earthquake. But don't get too attached to that map, because the world's billionaires are kind of a nomadic bunch. Over a third of them have already packed up and moved at least once.
And what's tempting them to new places? Well, it's pretty much a three-way tie between finding a better quality of life, worrying about global chaos, and, of course, the classic desire to pay a little less in taxes.
So, where's the smart money heading? North America is still the top dog for investment, but its lead is starting to shrink a bit. The real rising stars are Western Europe and Greater China. And there's a growing interest in the high-risk, high-reward world of emerging markets. But for every big opportunity, there's a big worry on the horizon. The world's billionaires are a pretty nervous group, and their biggest fears create a perfect storm: tariffs, major geopolitical conflict, and just general instability around the world. They know better than anyone that fortunes can be lost just as quickly as they're made. So when you put this all together, what does it really mean for the future? We've gone through the numbers, the mindsets, the global shifts, but what it all comes down to is one simple, massive question. What's the legacy of this new generation of billionaires going to be?
Let's just sit with that number for another second. Almost $6 trillion. That's not just an insane amount of money, it's an insane amount of power. And it's all about to be handed over to a new generation, a generation that sees the world in a very, very different way. So what's the big takeaway? Billionaire wealth is at an all-time high, fueled by both a new wave of innovators and the biggest inheritance in history. A new generation is taking charge, one that cares a lot about independence and making an impact. And they're doing all of this in a world that feels more volatile and uncertain than ever. And that leaves us with the ultimate question. As this new generation of billionaires takes the helm, are they going to use their massive resources to tackle the world's biggest challenges, or are they just going to create new ones? That, right there, is the $6 trillion question. And the answer is going to shape the future for every single one of us.